Imagine looking into a mirror. You see the basics, your eye color, skin tone, height, features that barely change. But nearly everything else does. Grow out your hair, change your beard style, lose some fat, build some muscle, upgrade your wardrobe, and suddenly the person staring back is unrecognizable. To a stranger, you might as well be a different person. People who pass you on the street make snap judgments based purely on your new appearance. They assume things about your status, your confidence, even your personality without knowing a thing about you. Now flip this onto your personality. The common advice, just be yourself, suggests your inner self is as unchanging as your eye color. But what exactly is this yourself anyway? The comfortable trap of being yourself. Just be yourself. Man, that's such a cozy sentiment. It suggests that no effort is needed beyond just existing. It's really comfortable, but it's so limiting at the same time. The truth is, your personality is no more fixed than your hairstyle is. One day, I might have hair like this. In a month, I might have long hair. In 10 years, I might be bald. And you know what? My personality is the same. Because we're not finished products, we're constant work in progress is always evolving. One day you're stuck in a traffic jam, cursing under your breath, as grumpy as the Grinch. The next day you're in the London Underground and you offer your seat to an elderly lady. All of a sudden you feel like a refined gentleman. What if I told you you're both the grumpy Grinch and the refined gentleman? One day you sink 12 hours into video games and the next, you've made some real progress on that side hustle you got going on. You're both the lazy slob and the productive champion. And this is because your personality is fluid. Your personality is shaped by your actions. Bro, if Cristiano Ronaldo saw himself as an average athlete, then, he might have stayed one. Instead, he decided to constantly say he's the best over and over and over again, until he became a champion. And yes, before you leave a comment, Cristiano Ronaldo is in fact better than Messi. People often think personality is kind of like a tattoo. That's more genetics. Personality, I would compare more to an evolving wardrobe, an outfit. Some traits are very comfortable and familiar, just like that white t-shirt which you're always gonna have in your wardrobe. But that does not stop you from trying new clothes on and tossing out the ones that you don't need anymore. Your limiting beliefs are nothing but outdated pieces of clothing that you're holding onto out of habit. I'm naturally shy, aka a worn out sock with a hole on the bottom. Discipline isn't my thing, might as well be an overworn, faded, stretched thin pair of gym shorts. I'm awkward around new people, might as well be an old, very tight sweater that doesn't fit you anymore. These old clothes don't define your whole wardrobe, they're just old clothes that you refuse to throw away and still wear occasionally, or even regularly. But the problem is when you're out shopping for new clothes to replace the old ones, let's say like a beautiful leather jacket, it feels wrong. You feel like an imposter, like you shouldn't be the one wearing that jacket. You're wearing somebody else's jacket. You want it to be you, it just doesn't feel like it is you. And this is because you've just never worn anything like that before. But then compare it to like playing a video game. You start level 1 and you upgrade your armor over time. You don't just hold on to level 1 armor because that's what you started with, right? You have to upgrade and pick better armor, otherwise you're not gonna make it very far in the game. It might feel inauthentic, but in my opinion, intentional growth is authenticity. Instead of being yourself, you might want to master identity shifting. Identity shifting is the intentional practice to adopt traits that align with the person that you genuinely aspire to become. We've all heard of fake it till you make it, and I used to live by that saying. It always felt super awkward. There are just some things that you can't fake. You can't fake certain things, but you can definitely push your limits towards a certain direction and foster real growth. When you take confidence, for example, I remember being a bit younger and approaching girls, acting confident, and deep down knowing I still felt really awkward because I wasn't confident yet. But within my spectrum of confidence, I was pushing my limits, and in turn, I was becoming more confident. It's just repetition of a skill. You act confident more and more eventually your brain is just like, yeah, I'm a confident person. It's less fake it till you make it and more be the yourself that you want to be until you feel like the yourself you want to be. I'm going to try to give you some practical steps of how to identity shift, but before doing that, I'm going to tell you the most difficult part of identity shifting. The hardest part about identity shifting has to be dealing with how others see you. Nobody talks about this, but people really expect you to stay the same. And dealing with that is tough. People have a version of who you are in their head. And if you start acting differently, it might become unsettling for them. You have to understand that people love comfort and they hate change. You might start feeling a lot of criticism, judgment from people. I'll never forget when I made my first YouTube video. People didn't expect that. And I saw the true colors of some people in my life. There was a lot of judgment, a lot of people I had to cut off. Even talking about it, you would almost feel like a weird energy. I would say the people who are closest to you have the biggest hold on you. This is why so many people, when they transition to a completely different stage of life in a new environment, actually use that opportunity to evolve into somebody new, because the people who are holding them back from doing that aren't there. I'll give you an example. For me, it was when I went to university, right? A whole new set of people, the people in my life didn't come with me. I got to reinvent who I wanted to be. So many people do this when they get a new job or when they move to a new country, a new friendship group. You can reinvent who you are, and it's much easier because the old people don't hold you back. The problem is these things don't happen overnight. You're gonna have to teach these people, hey, look, this is the new me, take it or leave it. But that's only going to work over time. Over time, they'll see, hey, he's not making this up. This is actually him now. Because action will reinforce a new image in their heads. Don't feel like you're betraying the identity that other people have of you. Growth will feel uncomfortable for you and for them. But you have to keep pushing through. Eventually, the world will catch up with who you are. Okay, actionable steps for identity shifting. Number 1, define who you are. When I say define, I don't care if you write it down or you have a conversation with your loved one or you just constantly talk to yourself in the mirror. You can do whatever you want. I just don't want it to be wishy-washy. You have to be proper strict on yourself and define, this is who I am, these are my principles, and just make it very clear as stone who you want to be. It doesn't have to be big things, but you need to make it clear. All right, so now you've clearly defined some of your traits, who you are as a person. Now it's time to show up as that person, even if it feels uncomfortable. And you might find that at the beginning you accidentally revert to your previous identity quite commonly because you get uncomfortable and you go back into comfort. But over time, with exposure, you'll find that this happens less and less. Try and do that with people who might not be super close, who might not have a very strong idea of who you are, because that will give you some validation of that identity and then make it easier to translate it to the people who you are closer to. Step 3 is to prove it to yourself, one win at a time. It doesn't help if you go out one day acting like one person and the next day and the next day and the next day you don't do it, and then maybe you do it again in 2 weeks time. No, you have to act like this over time and prove it to yourself. You don't even believe yourself that you can be the person you want to be. So prove it to yourself. When you first learn how to drive a car, you have no idea what you're doing. You want to learn how to drive a car, right? So you get behind the car, you already know okay, handbrake, clutch, and gear stick, change the gear, and then, slowly let go of the clutch and accelerate at the same time. You know this logically, but because you're just a learner, you have to think these things through. It's not second nature. You really have to work to get it right. Eventually, 5 years down the line, you've been driving every day for 5 years. You don't think about these things. It is second nature, man. You just know how to drive. That is exactly the same with your personality. At the very beginning, you might be like, oh man, this doesn't feel right. I have to really concentrate on it. Over time, it becomes second nature. It becomes who you are. And the last step I would say is don't become complacent. Keep evolving. So if you're here right now and you've worked very hard identity shifting until you have a whole new identity and now you're here, when you're here, it's going to feel like you're here. Don't become complacent. Keep evolving who you are as a person. It's not that you'll never be good enough, it's that you never want to stop growing. The beautiful irony of identity shifting is that by intentionally changing and shaping who you are, you're becoming more authentically you. You're not a passive version of you that just happened by default. You're a custom-tailored, intentional version of yourself that you consciously designed. You weren't meant to simply be yourself. You were meant to keep becoming yourself. See the man, be the man.